Good morning. This is United Voices for Grand Prairie. We're glad to have you join us. I'm Patty Brock, the Executive Director for Grand Prairie United Charities.
Jean Bondi, Development Director for Grand Prairie United Charities.
And our beautiful guest today is Vivian Morris.
Yes, hi, Vivian Morris, Lifeline for Family Executive Director. Nice to be here.
Vivian, part of the goal of this is to introduce charities to Grand Prairie and let us know about you and what you do. And I'm fortunate enough to have known Vivian a while. But one thing I think is fascinating about you, Vivian, is just your story and how you got to Lifeline and your education. There's that whole background that positioned you so well. So tell us about, kind of since you were born. And
oh, goodness. So, when my mom got together with my dad, I'm just teasing. So, I guess, let's see, I came to Grand Prairie, graduated in Grand Prairie in 2001. I am, just live life. I had my child young. So I had my first baby when I was 17. And so life was, like the kids say, lifing. I was privileged and fortunate to utilize our government benefits whenever my kids were in need of that. And so in one of the programs that I did with the Health and Human Services, they asked me to volunteer. So I actually started volunteering with United Charities back in 2008. And in that process, I started also volunteering with Lifeline for Families. Because of my background, I came from a corporate background. So before I was in the nonprofit spectrum, I was with AT&T. I was an attendance analyst at AT&T. And so because of my background with administrative, I was a benefit to Lifeline for Families. And so they ended up hiring me part-time. So I remember starting off with Lifeline, making $7.25. That's it, an hour, 20 hours a week. But in being in that space, working with families like myself, I was able to grow and love Lifeline. And so I've been able to work as an assistant, because I was the assistant to the previous director there, to a caseworker, to a case manager, to program director, to now executive director. And so I've had the privilege of seeing the different spaces with the agency. And in that, going back to school, I have my master's. I'm a licensed master social worker. I'm currently in school now for my doctorate. So my DSW, not my PhD, because I don't want to teach people. But I think somewhere in there, I learned that I loved learning. And so not just education, but that I love learning people. I love community. And so I guess that's the cliff notes of my journey. So now I have two college kids. My oldest has graduated with her bachelor's in education. My middle one has her phlebotomy certification, and she is currently about to finish her associate's. And my son is in his second year of college at Henderson State, full ride. So despite being a teenage mother, I have 3 college kids, you guys.
Awesome.
Wow, that's great. Congratulations.
I've been fortunate. Vivian still comes and helps us out once in a while. And I've been fortunate to see Vivian, observe Vivian as she deals with clients. And I truly believe she's wonderful with clients. She's has empathy. And I really think a lot of it is because you know what you went through. You know how to connect with clients and get out of them and nurture them, if you will, to where they can be as successful as you can.
Absolutely. I feel like I come from 2 different perspectives. I know personally, so I never would ask anyone to do something that I personally wouldn't do or haven't navigated through. And then I know professionally, I know education-wise, because I have, I know socioeconomics, I know, theories and all that kind of stuff. So those 2 people in me exist at the same spot. And then I like to meet clients where they are. And then I like to pull them to where, pull them to me more than making them come to me. So it's just meeting them where they are. And I'm not saying I'm expert at that, because there's been challenges, but at the end of the day, people just want to be heard and understood, and I try to meet them there.
That's great. Great. Congratulations on all of your successes. That's great. That's wonderful. So tell us a little bit about the history of Lifeline.
Sure. So Lifeline for Families was our founder, Angela Gessner, came in 2003. So she saw a need. It's always quote Walt Disney: find a need, fulfill a need. And she saw that there were families, or excuse me, children that were homeless in the Grand Prairie area. So she rallied community members together to say, "Hey, let's who's filling these gaps? Who is doing this work?" And at the time, it was Christine Gonzalez, who was the McKinney-Vento coordinator for the school district, and her telling her that they had this many listed homeless children. We came together, and Lifeline was founded, and so we housed our first family in September of 2003. And so, and now we are, helping families. Now we help, we stride on quantity versus quality. So we help anywhere from about 100 to 150 families a year. And so we work with, a crisis intervention, we work with budgeting, we work with goal setting, we work with informal counseling, because even though I'm licensed, I can only hit inch deep, mile wide. And so if they need more support, I think that's the benefits of the programs here in Grand Prairie. If like they need actual mental health support, we can refer them there. If they need something regarding food insecurity, we can refer them somewhere, because we don't hit all of those, but we definitely take a holistic point of view. And that has grown with our program, because at first we were placing families and we were doing the informal counseling with them, especially our first family, and we were there giving them Pampers and all of that, because our first family was a mom who went on maternity leave with twins, and so they helped her the way they could. But we've learned over time that it has to be a little bit more. People require more. We approach that holistic point of view. I want to, I just saw a client yesterday, and she goes, "You know so much about me, Vivian." And I go, "Yeah, and you know nothing about me." And so that's our dynamic. I want to make sure that I know who your kids are, where they go to school, what's your teacher, are they having troubles there? And so I really delve in and make it personal, because it is personal to them, and I'm sensitive to that. So yeah, and I give you a long-winded answer, but
No, that's great.
yeah,
Thank
but
you.
yeah.
Thank you. So what is the impact? I mean, I know you want to help people and you
Yeah.
want to get them to better places, but how do you define your impact?
Yeah, so I love Grand Prairie, right? I graduated from Grand Prairie High School in 2001. My kids are South Grand Prairie fugitives, I know. And so they went to South Grand Prairie High School. My homes are here in Grand Prairie. So this community means a lot. And so my impact is, let's help our neighbors. Since this city means so much to me, let's help our neighbors so it means so much to them. So that's that. So it's just one seed at a time. And so once they see that there's good people here, because I've had the privilege of seeing like DeSoto and their community leaders, and going to their leadership programs in Arlington and Irving. Grand Prairie is so unique in so many spaces, and our mayor is so accessible. Our city councils are so accessible, where other cities aren't like that. And so I think that's me. I can't change. I can't help with world peace, right? I can't, because that's such a global thing. But I can definitely help with Grand Prairie peace, and so that makes me feel that helps me to wake up every morning to feel like, okay, I'm leaving my legacies, and Lifeline, my children, my community. That's my legacy.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And I've heard some numbers thrown around from
Mm.
the 20 plus years that
Yeah.
Lifeline has been in business. And one of the stats you guys look at is grades for those kids.
Oh,
So
yeah.
come give us some of those big, impressive numbers.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. I didn't come up with any data. But so what we do when families come in, we look at where they are regarding attendance, because the reason why they're there is because of the student. And so when they come in, we look at the students' grades, making sure, where they are. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's not so great. But 9 times out of 10, these are GT kids. These are like top performers. And you just see how, I'm going to use the term trauma, but it's not that heavy, how trauma really transforms in some people. Some people hit the bricks running, and others, just kind of fold in. So majority of our kids are just top performers. And so we look at that, we look at their attendance, which is where a lot of them, because moms get caught up in there every day, especially single moms. I'm just trying to get to work, and I don't necessarily think about my student getting to school. We're hoping that everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing, and sometimes it doesn't land that way. So we have that conversation, because a lot of times mom don't register like, oh my gosh, they have been tardy 19 times. Oh my gosh, they have been tardy 12 times. And so we look at these numbers and we try to improve on them. So I'm not going to judge you based off of these 19 occurrences. That's what we call them. But next month, let's make sure there's no more occurrences. And then at the end of our program, there's less of that. And then we also follow up at the end of the semesters with the moms and the children to make sure we talk with the counselors. At the school, and we make sure kids are still stable, nothing's happened. We talk with mom. Sometime in this population that we work with, phone numbers change very rapidly. And so we try to, with our application, have every which way to contact, of course, them, their email, their support systems. We try to really follow up. And I think we value our interns from UTA with helping us follow up, because I don't know if I've said this, there's only two paid employees in the office. There's myself and our operations manager, and that's it. And so we utilize our volunteers and our supporters to help get those callbacks with our clients. So as far as to answer your question, the data, as far as 90%, 80%, I don't have those exact facts, but definitely I can tell you that at the end of our program, 90% of our families are still there. And if they're not there, they are stable in another community, and they still use resources and tools that we embed into them.
So I know a lot of your program is exactly what you said, resources and stability. I think one great thing about Lifeline is there's that continuity, a continual touch point.
Oh, yeah.
Talk a little bit about what that client goes through with you and what all you look at, and about how long. I know it varies by client. How long do they stay in your program?
Sure.
Even though you do have follow-up touch points afterwards.
Sure. So when they first come into, when they're first referred from the school district, we do an initial intake. And what that looks like is we're going over all the rules and the guidelines and the requirements of the program. We allow them 24 hours to sit on that, because we are about to get into it. And so they have to bring all their documents because of government, right? And then they have their assessments. Their assessments are about a 2-hour program. This is where we build a case plan. This is where I delve into what happened, because a lot of times my crisis is, I'm going to make something black and white. My crisis is, I had a car repair and that was $700. But sometimes it is so much more than that. And so not only do I have this car repair, these children, it's difficult being a parent, or my spouse is not supporting the way it is. So sometimes it's a lot more things. So we delve into that and build a case plan. Like I talked about, my support, like helping us help her. I've referred girls over there to her program that help support moms who are having challenging girls, and so at the end, we just try to approach that. So as far as our program is a 3 to 4 month program. And so we do a tear down when it comes down to the finances. We try to help them with as much as we possibly can month 1. We try to make sure they're interjected by month 2. Month 3, they should be on their own, but we offer that 4th just in case they're just right on that cusp. After the 4th month, we let them breathe for about 3 months. And then after that 3 month, we follow up with them again. Not necessarily saying that Lifeline can help financially, but if you need something, let me get you to where that is. And sometimes that's, I need school supplies, or I need Thanksgiving, or I need, Christmas help. And so we'll follow up and see if we can alleviate some of that financial burden. Then we follow up again about, we give them another breathing room. We follow up after 6 months. And so I want to make sure that at the exit of our program, which is at that 4th month, we've touched on them at least 3 times after that, because they've been there for 3 times. Now, throughout the program, I probably see my parents every 14 to 18 days, depending on their work. So I tell my clients, with the intake, at this intake, including this one, I'll probably see you about 7 or 8 times. And then say, how can you feel about that? Most of them say, well, work. We work around it. We work around it. If we need to do something, I personally like person to person. I don't like Zoom. I registered that during COVID. I do not like interviews via Zoom, but when it comes down to what I do. And so I just like to have at least 7, 8 touch points throughout the 4 months. And we just try to make that work. If I can schedule them in advance, like a doctor's appointment, if I can schedule them at the end of the day or the beginning of the day, depending on the work. So we try to work around it, and thankfully we've been able to be successful in that. But yeah, so we, like I said, we really get personal with our families. The thing that I struggle with is in the public, because like I said, this is my community. I live here. And so sometimes I'm at Kroger's and I'll see a client come over to me, Vivian. It's like, And so where do I put my hands? Because I am a different version of me in the world. And so that would be the only thing that I say is a fun and interesting part of my job.
That's great. It sounds like your goal is to make them be more self-sustainable, give them the support they
Yeah.
need. But
I want to be a support system, but I want them to know that I am a temporary support system. And if they need a support system, let's help in your case plan, in your safety plan, get you that. Let's build your village. I remember whenever, like I said, I was a young mom. I remember that I didn't have like a person to help me pick up my kids at the end of the day, or if my daughter wanted to do like this program called like Stomp, you're at Sally Moore Elementary, and so I had to find a mom to say, "Hey, can you help me? Your daughter's doing it," and so I had to almost build my village. And so I encourage my families: if you don't have family locally, build your village and let me help support you in that way. And so yeah, that's
great.
just help support. Mhm.
Yeah, and I think during a crisis is probably the majority of times when they come to you, but you don't just help them there. To your point, you help them figure out what resources are available. How do we help you budget? How do we get to you that fourth month when you're
Yeah.
back to stability?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think that's a great outcome.
Yeah.
The long-term project and casework that Lifeline does.
Yeah, I think a lot of times in social services in general, we look at people and say, okay, you're broken. I need to fix you. And I guess I look at it like people are so resourceful. I've had people come to me and like, well, I make hot plates and I sell those at church. Let's amplify that. And so in talking to someone, like I said, I talked about the resources, like building your village. People don't realize, oh, my daughter isn't here. Oh, that mom I do talk to, she can be a part of my village. And so it's not even that you just don't know what you don't know when you don't put it together. And sometimes being above it, I can see things that they just can't access.
help them connect the dots, if you
Yeah,
will. Yep.
yeah, yeah.
So that it's and stable dots, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
When
that's true.
again, when you're in crisis, you can't see anything.
Right.
But once you get out of that, then
Yeah.
let's keep those dots
Yeah.
moving.
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit about the future plans for Lifeline. I know you guys have been around a long time, and I know you're
Yes.
going to be around a lot
Let's hope
longer.
so. God is Let's hope so.
So tell us
Yeah.
what your future looks like. What kind of new things are you doing? What are the plans?
So, like I said, we are definitely working on quality. We are building our program right now a little bit more. I've been working with Frost Bank and Texas Trust regarding helping with our budgeting. I want it to be a little bit more because we go at rapid speed. I want to make sure that we can implement it a little bit better because, I mean, as a person who is not necessarily, I'm better financially than my clients, right? But even me, I struggle. And so I want to make sure it's something that meets everyone's not in the same financial goals. So that is where we're honing in right now. Also, like I said, I don't know if I'm supposed to say some of the stuff.
Nobody. It's just us. It's just us girls. You can say it.
I know, but I'll just say it this way: some families aren't quite ready for the Lifeline program because our program is you've had an acute crisis and you can bounce back from that crisis pretty quickly, but sometimes it's bigger than that. Sometimes I'm actually 2 months behind. I just lost my job. I'm not quite ready for the Lifeline program, and so I want to help. We're in the process of building something for that population where they're not quite ready, but if we give them 2 or 3 months at this point and then 2 or 3 months at this point, they are better successful. And so we're collecting data. We're looking for some transitionals, what that looks like. And so yeah, because there's nothing like this that I've seen. I guess the closest thing I've seen is Family Gateway in Dallas, but still, I've toured their facility several times. I've talked with a lot of their social workers and counsel people over there. There's gaps that I feel like I can fill, but and I want to bring something similar to Grand Prairie, but still keeping the integrity of the fact that we don't do brick and mortar and all of that. So we have things that we're thinking of as far as we call it Lifeline 2.0. And so we have things that we're thinking of to illustrate it. As like I said, I just don't know what they're willing to share as far as publicly, but yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be a part of it. It is really my vision of Lifeline because I was that parent. I was that parent who could have utilized this. Lifeline could have changed my life if I had known about it. And so, and it has. I don't want to, Lifeline has clearly changed my life, but I want to do that to at least one. I want to starfish at least one. And so yeah.
I'm sure you've done it to several. Is there anything you want to share with us that we haven't asked you about today?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I'm so people who know me know that I'm kind of like I present as an extroverted introvert. So I'm very quiet. It doesn't, it's just my temperament. And so, but it's your superpower. The superpower that I have is I'm optimistic. I am, eager and willing to help in any way. So yeah, I just want to be helpful in any way that I possibly can. And that's it. And so if you see me in the world, just click me and grab me out of my mind and just know that charge it to my mind, not my heart, because I want to be present in every moment.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, doing great stuff. So thank you for being with us
Yes.
today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vivian. Again, I think that you bring a different perspective to Lifeline. They've done a lot of good the last 20 years, and with you there,
Yes.
they're going to do a lot of good in the next 20 years. And I'm glad that you're there to help those families in crisis and to stabilize them, because
Yeah.
that's the step that
Yeah.